Hey guys, I'm back and I'm not very good at this YouTube thing. So I said that I would have a more consistent upload schedule back in July, but then I moved across the entire US. That being said, I have much more freedom where I live now to do live action things, so expect more sword videos and reviews. That being said, I'm sure you don't care about any of that. You want to see my first impressions on this new hero and the new armors, even though I am incredibly late to the party. I promise though that I will drop the next Peacekeeper analysis sometime soon. We have a lot to get through, so let's just jump right into the Kyoshin armor sets. As I said before, this is just a brief first impressions, so I'm sure to omit many details. To start, we'll see that the Kyoshin, which is gender lock male only by the way, which is a whole other discussion, is wearing what we could call civilian clothes. Sure, he is wearing some form of bracers and pauldrons, but nothing really protective elsewhere. This concept will make more sense when we get to the weapons part. But for now, I think this is really neat. It looks well done. I don't know much about Japanese attire, or really much about Japanese culture at all, since that's not really my strong suit, but from what I've gathered, this is some form of male kimono known as a monsuki. Towards the bottom, the pleated skirt that we see is known as a hakama. And to my understanding, this clothing is pretty formal for just some guy to be wearing around as daily clothes, especially those he chooses to fight in. In modern day, Japanese martial arts practitioners wear hakamas with their kimonos in sparring and training, but that is most likely due to the abundance and availability of materials nowadays. Maybe the Kyoshin is just ballin', or maybe there is something that I misunderstood. Let me know down below what you think. Regardless, they all look fantastic. Next section we see what is essentially a half robe directly on bare skin. We also have various masks, which I believe is an oni, a wolf, and a basket respectively. The last one is pretty interesting, but I'll get to that in a second. As for the clothes themselves, I had to take a guess this is some form of yukata, which would actually be less formal type of attire, something that you would see as casual wear. If I had to describe the differences with modern analogies, the yukata would be like pants and a t-shirt type of clothing, while hakama was like a suit and tie type of clothing. Hopefully this is an acceptable analogy. Like I said, if you have more information, let me know. Regardless, this overall looks pretty interesting. Before we look into the rest, I'd like to talk about the basket helmet. More realistically, a hat, as I don't know how much protection you would actually get from this. So I just learned this recently, and apparently this is a type of monk's hat, or more specifically the hat of a komuso. The hat itself is called the tengai, and they wear it around and play the flute. Incredibly based if you ask me. Next we have Kyoshin Armor. This is baiting me so hard into wanting to rant about the reused assets, but I'll hold my tongue for now. As for the armor itself, I honestly think it's too little too late compared to what they have next. Also, Kyoshin had a helmet. Where is Kyoshin's helmet instead of essentially the same headgear twice? Anyways, the armor they have next is really good in my opinion, so they have some form of Japanese do. I am not a Japanese armor expert by any means, but it's made of metal and at face value it looks pretty good to me. They also have a shirtless variant just in case you're a Raider main who wants to change teams. Next one is another type of cuirass, but I think the previous one looks better. That's just my opinion though. So that's all the Kyoshin armors that they showed. Now we're moving right along into weapons. So a quick overview of what the weapons are for the Kyoshin. Me and my limited knowledge of Japanese martial arts thought that this was a weird looking shirasaya. A shirasaya is essentially a katana with no furnishings on it. A very literal translation of shirasaya would be white sheath, because of how plain it is supposed to be. So no guard, no hand wrap, no gloss. The point of a shirasaya, to my knowledge, is essentially to have a way of properly storing the katana blade. There are reasons why a shirasaya isn't meant for actual defense, but none of that matters right now. Why? Because it's not a shirasaya. I was wrong. It's actually a shikomisue. What is a shikomisue, you ask? Well, think of a shirasaya, but straight. Does it have the same purpose as a shirasaya? Surprisingly not. The main point of a shikomisue is essentially to have a concealed weapon. At first glance, it could be mistaken as a cane. There's more information we could talk about, but for now we'll use that as our fundamental basis for looking at these swords. Which ones look the most like a cane? Starting from the beginning, we already have our winner. I'm just kidding. It does look like a cane though. It's a simple, all wood saya and grip, nothing else. The blade even looks mono-tempered, which is going to be an important note when looking at the next one. The next sword doesn't look like a cane at all, instead having a very obvious tsukamaki handle wrap and a glossy black saya. That being said, it does look very nice for those who want to have their sword look more like a sword. One thing I will point out is that the blade has a Haman line, which is a product of differential hardening treatment, meaning the edge of the blade is harder than the spine of the blade. Most people don't realize before a katana goes in for its clay differential hardening treatment, it's actually a completely straight blade. It only gains the curve after a very violent and quick reaction from the edge of the blade that has been quenched in water. So could a straight blade like this have a differential hardening treatment? Well, I'm not a blacksmith, but if I had to take a guess with the For Honor world's technology, I would say no. Next, we have another wood shikumizue, this time with little metal furnishings on it. This actually works very well too because canes can have various furnishings and ornaments on them, unlike the slate clean shirasaya. That being said, your ornaments should not be a dead giveaway that you're carrying a sword. Next, we have another blatant sword variant with a glossy saya and the ribbon tied on there that is known as a sagyo. This type of ribbon is quite frequently done on katanas. Not very subtle here, are we? Regardless, it's a very beautiful greenish blue color, and it also has the same etching design on the blade that we talked about when we looked at the Chinese Gujian sword. I have no idea if there are any examples of Japanese swords with etched blades like this. Anyways, you get the idea so far, so I'm going to skip to some notably good ones. Next, we have an all-bamboo shikumizue with a mono-tempered blade from the looks of it. This one is very concealed, as it's very plausible that someone would just use a bamboo shoot as a cane, and with the natural sections in the saya, no one would be suspicious if there was a small gap that made it look like it separates. It's a very cool design. Next, we have one that I picked out of many that have very flamboyant and ornate designs. This one isn't inherently bad as a concealed weapon, hiding in plain sight kind of thing, but things like the sageo make it a dead giveaway. This one also has etchings on the saya now, and it's actually a gold brass color like on the Gujian. I don't know if it's the same texture. I would have to check my old finisher video again. Either way, it looks cool in my opinion. I also like the green color. Anyways, let's move on to some other heroes' armors. Yes, I skipped some of the Kyoshin weapons. I still have a lot to get through, and I refuse to make 2 videos. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comments or on Discord, and I'll try to get back to you. I will be very short with some of the heroes, but if I don't mention each one by name, then I'll have a flood of comments asking about it. So I apologize in advance if I have very little to say about some heroes. To start, we have Tiandi, and I really don't have much to say. It's Tiandi, and he always gets pretty good armor. Next, we have Shaolin, and I don't play Shaolin, so I don't know what his armor options are, but I'm fairly certain that this is his first armor set with what looks like a padded tunic. Shaolin is actually getting some form of protection. Hell must have frozen over. Jiang Jun got some armor, but again, it is very similar to the many sets he's had before, so nothing really new that I can add. Next, we have Zhanhu, and for some reason only showing the male version of Zhanhu. Anyways, I don't know if this is new, but I'll say it anyways. He now has some form of chainmail skirt, but it is a very wide ring chainmail texture with a lot of gaps that we saw with the samurai chainmail. I don't know why they continue to use that design, especially with all the other textures they have available, and considering that we can comfortably place the entire Wulin faction into the 16th century Ming dynasty. Next, we have Nuxia, and she has more armor options now. I believe they added scale armor to an existing armor set from her launch, so not one of her more recent additions. I like Nuxia, so I always appreciate more armor for her. Next, we have Warden, and I hope that his surcoat stays clipping into his leg when unlocked in-game. Anyways, a lot of nothing really new in my opinion. As you can see, they took the Tranquil Wayfarer arms, took away the chainmail, and added a padded gambeson instead. I think that's a downgrade if you ask me, but I am only one man. Next, we have Scent. I originally thought they were going for some sort of fluted armor design, and I suppose they inadvertently did, but their main intention was trying to mimic the human muscular system. I guess they did, but I don't know. It's just weird in my opinion. Next, we have Gladiator. There isn't much to this one either. We have a new helmet with a face on it, but apparently it's just a copy of the Jupiter's Champion helmet, but more ornate. I can't remember if I talked about it in my Gladiator analysis, but yeah. Next, we have Black Prior, with me being consistently disappointed in the new Black Prior helmet options. Hey, Ubisoft, stop rehashing the Queen's Pawns helmet. For the love of God, there are so many things you can do with this hero, and I'm pulling my hair out at watching them throw out half-baked armor ideas. If you want to see some very easy armor additions they could do for Black Prior, go watch my Black Prior analysis part 2. Next we have Gryphon. Out of sheer principle, I just want to skip him, but I feel like there are some things I could talk about. For starters, his armor is just a worse variant of Scent. Scent at least resembles a human muscle system. I have no idea what Gryphon is doing. In fact, the lines don't even go in the proper direction for a human muscle system. That is, unless they aren't trying to mimic the human muscle system. Food for thought. Next we have Lawbringer. It's another gold trim Lawbringer set. I don't have much to say. Next we have Conk, and he is back wearing torn up tunics again. We're evolving just backwards. Next we have Peacekeeper. I'm working on a Peacekeeper analysis right now. I promise I'll have the video out at some point for her. That being said, I don't think there is much for me to say on this one, but if there is, then you'll see it in that video. Next we have Warmonger. Just like all her other armor sets, this one is also really good. That being said, there's nothing new for me to say. Next we have Orochi, and I swear to God this gives me hope that Yubi is listening. They might not actually be listening, and we're always planning on doing this, but I'd like to pretend that it's the former anyways. They gave Orochi another set of metal armor, and it's the one that I suggested in my armor reskin suggestion video. At least it looks like metal armor from here. I will have to look at it in-game later. Next we have Kensei. I don't really see the appeal of this armor, but if you like the set that he got in Marching Fire, I believe it was, and you wanted another variant, well, then here you go. Next we have Shinobi. I actually like this one a little bit, but I don't play Shinobi, so I don't know how different this is from the other Shinobi outfits. Also, I don't have much else to say than that. Next we have Aramusha, and holy fucking shit. Holy fucking shit, they might actually be listening. Aramusha has armor again, and this time it's actually a metal cuirass under his coat. Now, not saying that it was my idea, I don't care who takes credit, but this is something that I mentioned before in my reskin armor video as well. It's just wild to me, and it's probably going to be my favorite armor out of the entire bunch. Next we have Hitokiri, and I don't have anything to say about them. Next we have Shugoki, and same thing, I don't have much to say. Next we have Nobushi, and we're coming back with some more metal armor for the samurai. It looks really good, and I have a lot of samurai heroes that I feel I would enjoy playing now that they have some good fashion in my opinion. I am pretty sure that the Nobushi already has the metal breastplate before, but I don't know about arm protection and other stuff. Either way, more variety. Next we have Berserker, and it looks like he has scale armor under his tunic? Shirt? Slab of leather strapped to his chest? I don't know, but what I do know is that Berserker has more armor than Raider now. In the words of a famous philosopher, Lamau get bodied. Next we have Raider, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I have no idea what I'm looking at. It looks like he's wearing some sort of shirt, but I don't know. Either way, it's just a bunch of more leather, and he still looks like a hobo. Next we have Highlander, and his new outfit may be nice, but I don't think it will ever top what we got in the last set of armor. Next we have Jormungandr, and I can't believe it, he's wearing scale armor and is wearing shoes. Hell really must have frozen over, huh? It isn't much, but I think it's progress. Soon he'll be able to reintegrate back into society and hold a job. Next we have Warlord, and there's just so much going on that my eyes are having a hard time trying to focus on one thing. Whatever this is, I don't think it's armor. Next we have Shaman, and I'm fairly certain that this is just like her previous armor that she got, but now it's a crop top that only has armor on her titties. I mean, I guess she's technically covering her vital organs with this, but I still don't get it. But hey, if you're out there looking for options to put armor on Shaman, well, here you go, I guess. Next we have Valkyrie, and I think this is actually pretty good. It's some chainmail, and it armors enough of her body to keep her protected. I just wish she was wearing some pants and sleeves, but all in all, it's pretty good. So out of all of them who had the best, if I had to choose, I'd say it was a tie between Orochi and Aramusha. Those two got some seriously notable improvements in my opinion. And for the Kyoshin, what will I go with? Well, for the sword, there are so many options, I don't even know where I'd begin. But for the armors, I'd probably go with the Japanese Do that we looked at. Then I'd probably go with the basket helmet because there are no other normal helmets. Also, come on. That's going to be it for this one. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. Once again, sorry I haven't uploaded regularly. Hopefully now that I moved, I can start working on more videos. Shout out to my YouTube members, particularly Grant Bork, Vodka Lover 420, Shadow Eagle 04, and our new member S4 Side for being the highest tier of members. Last one, let me know how to pronounce your name in the comments if I got it wrong. If you would like to become a member as well, the join button is down below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button as it helps get the video out to others. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or favorite armor set that you'd like to share, then go ahead, leave it down below. Like always, thank you very much for watching and have a great day. Peace.